Can I go ahead to present the report?
Proceed to summarize your report.
The report will be summarized, but we will need to also put the background for this report. This report was not ordered by the Senate, but is part of our oversight function and responsibilities under Order 96, Rule 54 of our standing orders as amended, and Section 62 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, which led us to invite the relevant stakeholders for an interactive session on Tuesday, October 29th. And Mr. President, this report, as everybody can see, is voluminous. So we will go direct to page 9 and page 11, the findings and the recommendations, so that we'll go direct to the matter. Mr. President, before I go to page 9, let me also give this Senate and Nigerians an idea of what it costs us for every time there's a collapse of the national grid. Usually when the grid collapses, plants that produce electricity are shut down. And so we have gone to actually find out from the operators of the plants what it costs them when they shut down their plant. Whenever a plant is shut down, they will have to restart that plant, and to restart that plant, which they call a black start, it costs far more than running the plant. For example, for Azura, which is one of the plants that we use, while it costs $105,000 to run the plant, to restart it will cost Nigeria $7.5 million. So, for any time that we have a shutdown occasioned by a grid collapse, 3 plants in Nigeria that supply most of our electricity needs, the one in Azura, the one in Delta State, and the one in Shiroro, to restart the plants cost Nigeria $25 million, or in Naira terms, 42.5 billion Naira, just to restart the plant. And if you now extend it to the rest of the operating plants in Nigeria, the humongous money that is being spent in Nigeria for grid collapse is actually not quantifiable. And so today we want to go to the findings. What are those reasons that have led to incessant grid collapse? In page 9, you will find, number 1, aging infrastructure. Our grid is more than 50 years old, and therefore it occasioned frequent breakdowns. Number 2, operational challenges. And this is worsened by power rejection by distribution companies due to their own issues. Number 3, abandoned projects in the power sector. We are presently undertaking by the Senate a comprehensive review of all abandoned projects in Nigeria, and what we see, we are saying trillions of dollars of abandoned projects. Number 4, regulatory gaps. We find also that all the agencies that are supposed to regulate the electricity sector have a lot of issues. Number 5, security of our power infrastructure. A short while ago, the whole of the North never had any power. Why? Because somebody caught the electricity grid, and what we see is that people deliberately target our power lines and destroy them just to make the country ungovernable. Number 6, lack of a supervisory control and data acquisition system. This control system is called SCADA, and it is what gives anybody controlling the system what is going on within the system so that you can shut down or go forward. But it will interest you to know, Mr. President, that for 41 years, this country has continually paid for this SCADA, and it has never been finished. And right now, another contract has been signed by the World Bank for another SCADA system, which we have been continually striving with for 41 years. Number 7, financial prudence. We have seen that even with the amount of money coming from both internally and from the World Bank and from other donor agencies, we do not see the prudence in the spending of this. Number 8, the Presidential Power Initiative, set up by Mr. President, former President, continuing with this particular President, we are yet to see any impact from it. And so we can go ahead, Mr. President, given all these anomalies that we have seen, to our recommendations. Recommendation 1, there is the urgent need for the Senate to take decisive action on this. And the Senate may urge Mr. President to convene a high-level situation room with all the critical stakeholders, because without power, we will not develop this country. Number 2, all the respective MDAs should produce a comprehensive report detailing how their previous allocations made to them for this particular SCADA system, which has been on and off for 41 years, has been used. Number 3, recommendation 3, that we must ensure that this SCADA technology is deployed fully so that we can eliminate all the real-time monitoring, response time, and every other thing that has bedeviled this sector. Number 4, that the Transmission Company of Nigeria should, in collaboration with NAPTIN, establish training programs for their technical personnel, especially for this, because we have found that also ignorance and lack of knowledge has helped in putting people who do not understand these systems to run such systems. Number 5, that the Senate should urge the relevant security and law enforcement agencies to develop a comprehensive strategy for the power infrastructure in Nigeria. At a particular time, Mr. President, I also propose on this floor to have a separate arm of government that will take care of power infrastructure. But I think at that time, it was stepped down under the David Mark regime because they said that it was the responsibility of civil defense to do that. But we can see today that it is impossible for civil defense to fight insurgents who go to break down the power infrastructure, especially in the north. And I think yesterday, we were also told by Bayelsa that for about 5 months or so, Bayelsa never had any power because all the critical lines going into Bayelsa were vandalized and brought down by criminals. Number 6, that relevant stakeholders operating the national grid should adopt community engagement programs because it belongs to us, so that communities do not see it as their own. As a government infrastructure, not knowing that it affects their own lives. Number 7, that licensed operators in the power sector should prioritize investments in upgrading their infrastructure. We have noticed, Mr. President, that all the distribution companies have not invested in their infrastructure since they took over, since 2013 till date. And if you need power anywhere, you buy your own infrastructure, you buy your cable, you also buy your transformers, you buy everything. And government continues to invest, not seeing anything reciprocal from these people. And that DISCOs should adopt the transparent practices in load management and rejection. Because what we also noticed from our interaction was that distribution companies do not even accept power sometimes when they are being given. And that causes problem within the system. Because when power is produced, it must go somewhere. It cannot be stored. And that also gives a problem to the system. Number 9, that the Electricity Power Regulation should implement performance-based incentives to the DISCOs to align with their financial interests. Number 10, that TCN and FGN Power should conduct a comprehensive review of all abandoned projects in the power sector so that we can have a smooth operation of the national grid. Number 11, that NEC should ensure strict enforcement mechanism for compliance with regulatory requirements for both the GENCOs, the TCN, and the DISCOs, and prescribed penalties must be imposed for non-compliance. Number 12, that stakeholders for the operation of the national grid, which include the GENCO, the TCN, should regularly do independent and self-assessment and audit of their compliance with regulatory requirements. Number 13, that to ensure financial prudence, accountability, and public trust, all agencies, that is TCN, FGN Power, Federal Ministry of Power, and other government entities who receive budgetary allocation from the National Assembly should periodically disclose to the public through financial reports related to the power sector investment, and that should include details of expenditures on project status, outcomes, and everything. Because we've also found that part of the issues is that they say that the people prefer to buy Jeeps, buy Hiluxes, buy all manners of vehicles, and not invest in the infrastructure itself with all the monies they have. And Mr. President, finally, that there should be a multifaceted approach which involves investment in infrastructure upgrade, strengthening the regulatory oversight, enhancing the security measures for the assets, and addressing the commercial practices of DISCOs while implementing modern monitoring systems to ensure a more resilient national grid. Mr. President, at the back of this report is also an attachment which we have put that will show to everyone everything concerning the power sector as an appendix, so that those who do not completely understand will also have an idea of everything that we have all stated concerning the power sector. I so submit, Mr. President.